Now, for Vietnam, if we're coming into this pick and ban, what is your priority? What do you not want to give over to Indonesia? Because I know we talk a lot about Ahmed in that mid lane on those mages making disgusting plays. We saw a lot of them during the boot camp earlier on.
Ahmed actually plays a lot of L'Oreal and Liliana at the boot camp. L'Oreal, not a character we see a lot in many other regions, so I wouldn't be too worried about banning to counter Ahmed because he's used to playing a wide variety of characters that aren't in the normal meta. I don't think it's smart to target him. Instead, I'd actually like to target the jungle player. Wera has a really good Murad, so if you can actually ban out the Murad, then he's going to be forced to play something he's a little bit less comfortable with.
Well, first ban coming on through for Vietnam, it is going to be the Flash, so not going to be able to see that in the mid or into the jungle.
And a very powerful mage, Arum, coming out as well.
We saw that a lot actually in the series early on and how important that can be.
If you don't ban Arum, you're silly.
A little silly.
Because Arum right now has... It is the best tank character in the game, and as we've discussed, Polo on Vietnam is one of the best tank players here at the tournament.
Well, it's just the ability to have so much AoE into the kit, have the ability just to pick off any member if they're close enough. You lock down a carry, that's it. You can't run anywhere. And for Vietnam, second ban coming on through, it's going to be that Liliana.
And that's a little bit out of the ordinary, because normally you want to play kind of this Tulin Liliana game, where you'll get one of them, and either one's considered top tier. Praetor's in there as well, so it's not normally as worth it these days. But Vietnam doesn't need to play that game because, as stated earlier, their mage player plays a wide variety of characters.
Now, this one's a little bit interesting for me because you see a lot of the Eastern teams actually don't usually ban out the Superman, but Indonesia, they just saying, hey, we can't deal with it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that actually, because we did see Indonesia let Superman through the draft consistently in the boot camp, and that didn't go well.
It didn't work too well. You know, that win percentage, it didn't pan out too good for them.
So they're less edgy these days. They're just playing what they're comfortable with and what is the meta.
Well, let's see. Final bans rolling on through for Vietnam. It is going to be the Murad getting banned out.
And that's what I want to see. Get the Murad out of there specifically because we're in the jungle. I would say he's a decent jungler. He's a steady, stable jungler. When he's on Murad, he is an exceptional jungler.
Now for Indonesia, final ban coming on through. If you're looking at them at the moment, TJ, what would you actually leave up in the scenario? What would you like to have the option to maybe pick up in that second round?
For Vietnam? Oh, that's
wow, okay.
Well, I would have said pay attention to characters like Teamy and the global mobility characters Zenial and Max, because one of them has to go. Indonesia, however, chooses to ban Sharganar.
All right, so this is a bit interesting because now they leave open this Teamy, which that's very powerful for Vietnam.
Quickly that was locked in.
Yeah, they were like, yo, this is good for us. All right, yeah, we'll take it. We'll love to have that resurrection later into the team fights. And Indonesia, well, what do they want to try and prioritize? Go with that Malak or maybe go for one of those, global ultimates you mentioned?
I'd like to see Max or Zenial come through right now. And they opt instead to grab the most powerful mage. That actually isn't as crazy as it would normally be because, remember, this Liliana is out of the pool. If you don't get the most powerful mage for Ahmed, maybe you feel a little bit stressed.
Well, I'm going to go ahead, lock in the Tulin, so they'll have themselves a little bit of comfortable picks for Indonesia. Now going back over to Vietnam, Omen would be quite the power pick coming out for them if they decide to lock this in.
I think they've won this draft because they have two very good targeted bans. They get rid of two of the most powerful mages, Flash and Liliana, and then they get rid of the Murad, deliberately, obviously targeting the opposing jungle. Indonesia now is in trouble.
Well, still 20 seconds on the clock as we are on that international client, so they get a little bit more time over here in Europe and NA. We're used to the quick pick and ban phase. For Vietnam, though, going to be locking in the Violet.
This is not a terrible choice, but it's not what I would have liked to see. I would have liked to see them actually go for a more contested character, because you can either play L'Oreal or Violet. Or not L'Oreal, the jungle. We're fine. The point is, there are a variety of marksmen that you can play in the jungle, and Violet is not a needed character. When you have the opportunity to pick up something like a Zenial or a Max, I'm frankly shocked neither of the teams are going for it, and it may just be a regional thing. It may just be because they are not used to playing these characters as much because they've recently been released or something, and therefore they're not established in the pool.
For Indonesia, counting down, the Alice hover would be a nice, and it does get locked in, so going to have that stun available. On top of that, the shield and some movement speed.
Lindis, not L'Oreal. They're both L-named characters. Lindis can be run as a marksman.
We're talking about Alice right now.
Sorry, we're fine. Alice comes through. I would like that if you were dealing with more of a dive-focused comp, but with the poke that's presented by characters like, Crixie perhaps, and Violet, I don't think that hissy fit, the AoE zoning, is nearly as powerful as it would be against a more melee-focused, dive-focused composition.
We did see the Crixie last series, and it was played to great effect, so it wouldn't be out of the question here for Vietnam.
It isn't.
Wow, it's going to get locked in.
An exclamation mark, not a question mark.
Okay.
And hey, right now, Crixie's doing a lot of damage, and I guess confirmed meta.
Confirmed meta, it's already here. World Cup, almost 100% play rate. You can't ask for more.
Scud coming through as well, and that's another character you don't see much of in the NA meta. We didn't see much of during Valor series, and it felt like they were discovered. Thailand was playing them all along, and the NA teams came over and went, oh, Scud! That's a thing, and I had exactly the same reaction. He's so powerful, particularly in teamfights, due to his CC and control.
Now for Indonesia, wanted to round off this draft, would like to have a little bit of range, but instead opting in to that Wonder Woman.
I do like the Wonder Woman. I'm still in shock that
this
didn't
is
see
one
either
heck
of
a
the
draft.
global mobility characters. This draft's a ride, and I like it, because that many target bans from Vietnam should have been punished by Indonesia picking up characters like Max and Zenial, but instead they opted on the Indonesia side just to play to their strengths, instantly gave Ahmed a more powerful mage, and I don't think that's a problem. Unless it is. If that works, it makes sense. I'm on board. If it doesn't work, then I have to start questioning, why didn't you pick the better characters?
Well, that's the bonus of, playing in a series like this. It isn't just one game to decide it. You have three.
Sure.
You got to win two, so maybe experimenting early against a, opponent that might not give them as much trouble on the side of Vietnam. They're able to have that first pick. They want to try some new stuff out. Maybe you'd be better off trying to save that for a more aggressive opponent like Chinese Taipei Wildcard. Instead, they want to try out something newer immediately.
This is by far the closest match either of these teams are going to get.
True.
So if you are going to say, well, how good is our baseline? If we just build to our baseline, where is that high watermark? This isn't a bad time to try.
Now, looking at this, TJ, what is the plan for these two teams early on? Let's start off with Vietnam.
I want to see Vietnam playing very, very aggressive. This is out of their wheelhouse. Normally, they are the more safe team. But if you're Vietnam and you can change that up, if you are Vietnam and you can push into the enemy jungle, gain map control, gain awareness, that changes things and possibly secures the result.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead, load on to the battlegrounds for Game 1 between Vietnam and Indonesia. We'll see who's able to strike first blood and try and take Game 1 of the series.
I can't wait. Already Indonesia pressing very far forward.
All right.
We said they were going to be very aggressive, perhaps over-aggressive. I sure hope this isn't the start of that, but I do like it.
You guys already see there, Blake getting chunked out. It's going to be a trade, as always, of the Michaels. Both teams running it straight down mid, something we see a lot from the Eastern teams. And Hans, all right, stealing away the jungle before Indonesia could, before Vietnam could walk away with it.
Very, very cool little mechanics on the lasso. Might not make much of a difference.
He says,
but
come on over here, and takes the gold for himself. He's happy.
That's Grak.
Oh, true.
But the point is, the fact that you're able to get even a tiny amount of gold there disrupts the mindset. Maybe that makes a difference.
Well, you gotta be a little bit careful, though. If you go down a little bit early, that's not the plan, as Yamate was looking to pressure. But plan here, though, is are we going to see Abyssal Dragon control? Or are we going to be seeing jungle control coming out from either of these teams?
The gold matters a lot, because Blake on the Crixie is going to have to build basically full damage in order to find value, and that's why the Teamy is such a good combo with it, because that Resurrect helps the glass cannons stay alive. This means that either we need to see a very early gold lead for Vietnam so they can build that out ahead, or they need to control the game from the beginning.
That was the knock-up they needed. A three-man knock-up coming on out there to keep Polo alive as he was looking to scout on into that mid-lane rush. I like that, though, from Indonesia, as they were able to set up a trap, bait it in Vietnam, and they pick up a Spirit Sentinel.
And you can see the instant response there. I love it. They're going directly on the Vietnam side.
They're coming right on back, though. They're going to try and contest this, TJ. Abyssal Dragon going to get stolen away from Indonesia as they pick up first blood on Polo.
That should not have happened, but he just walks right in, spends the death from above. Maybe the punish comes through as well. It honestly doesn't matter. Either one probably would have secured the Dragon, and that is massive for Indonesia.
Pick up an 1,100 gold lead at 2.5 minutes. We said, hey, play aggressive and you might find success. And for Vietnam, their plan was, you know, we have to play early if we want to find anything.
And you can see, we talked about this, Vietnam have a bad tendency of playing too defensive if they feel like they're getting behind, and I fear we're already seeing a bit of it. Every single player is on their side of the map, playing very careful, playing very safe, and that's going to seriously hamper their farming efforts.
Well, let's go ahead and take another look at that Dragon fight where Indonesia was able to strike first blood.
This is so nice. It's just perfect timing, where it comes down, sees the Dragon with just about the right amount of HP, and they're instantly able to pick up Polo as well, who is so crucial. If you can base out his ultimate, or I believe in that fight it wasn't up yet, it's going to be much easier
both teams,
to secure the kill.
They both have the exact same idea. Indonesia, they're going to be running straight into the Death Rush. Wura glows to jump in directly onto TF and tries to assassinate the Violet as he picks up yet another kill for his team. Polo underneath the tower, feeling a little bit low. Yamate has to be backed away as the Thunderbird connected, and Ahmed will also secure a kill. Wura just survives underneath. Polo gets dived. Are you serious, Indonesia? Vietnam, what is going on?
Hans just lives there. There is a trade. That tower will fall, but Vietnam has just suffered a major defeat in the mid lane.
This, TJ, I said play aggressive, but this is them trying to slaughter people underneath towers before 4 minutes.
But it works. If you're able to shut down TF like that, the Violet, the key target, that is massive. If you could seriously slow down the gold farming of either the Violet or the Crixie, this is going to be a toothless Vietnam roster in the second half.
Already sitting at 1,400 gold. They get the position onto the Spirit Sentinel. You can even see them slowly starting to rotate toward that mid lane. You got Yamate jumping on in. I wasn't able to tell, but you can see Hans has to be careful. He's running for his life. Blake also coming up the river, but meanwhile, the Abyssal Dragon was taken for Indonesia. They'll trade away Caraway for the Dragon.
I think that's worth it. Caraway is currently playing the support, and that means that he can die. It's fine. The majority of his value will come from CC, stuns, stuff like that, so it doesn't really matter if he dies, as long as he has his cooldowns and his build is reasonably close.
But meanwhile, here's something for you, TJ. You already took 2 towers on the side of Vietnam. That opens up the map for them and gives them a little bit control into these jungles. The mid lane still stands.
Oh, this is good.
Yamate wants to go on in. Hans still staying alive for not too much longer, though. How is he still going? What is going on? They haven't finished off Hans. Polo dived underneath the tower. Vietnam, the communication, it's just not there, TJ.
When I said I wanted to see Vietnam go aggressive, I didn't mean they should just set up start a campfire, start roasting some marshmallows behind 2 towers.
I'm confused. This just seems so out of the ordinary. Is this Vietnam making mistakes? Or is it Indonesia, like, playing aggressive? I don't know.
I don't know either. Here's the replay. So the res comes through. Yamate is saved by Polo, but then he like recommits. Hans baits underneath the tower, keeps everyone alive, and the flanks here are Indonesia communicating well and punishing a mistake excellently.
And those are mistakes you can't be making at the World Cup. The rest of the team rotating down toward the river. Abyssal going to be joining us in about 30 seconds. Looks like Indonesia want to try and get priority, pick up the 3rd one of the game, and keep accelerating this gold lead.
And they have complete control of the area right now. This is such good control from Indonesia, and this is one of the things they do well. They understand the importance of the objectives. If they win this fight here, they get the Dragon for free.
I swear I've seen this before, TJ, but Indonesia, they're getting knocked around. The Hissy Fit is actually perfect onto multiple members, but they just dive underneath the tower and take down the teammate.
Y-Force goes in with the shock. The Malik ultimate instantly shutting down that fight, finds a knock-up and a cleave combo. This Abyssal Dragon's up, and there are not enough Vietnam members on the map to contest it, at least not properly.
Well, Indonesia going to slowly start it up as they re-aggro, and without that teamie, it's very dangerous to try and go for a fight like this. This is going to be the 3rd one of the game.
So what's interesting is Vietnam totally could challenge this, because Indonesia are playing actually with 2 of their players completely split from this fight. But Vietnam don't know this, because they're not maintaining vision around the map, and this is something we were talking about.
The map awareness they need to improve on.
Know where the players are. If they have players up top poking around the Spirit Sentinel, they know where the players are split. If they have players down bottom, they know who's taking Dragon. They didn't know either, and as a result, they were just playing passive and careful, and their gold lead is now suffering.
Well, it's something we've seen in those mid lane fights. They always start with 4 members in the brush, just trying to hide from the enemy team. Blake gets taken down quite low by that Thunderbird, is going to be able to regen just a little bit, survives underneath the tower, but you can see the pressure onto this mid lane starting to be exerted by Indonesia. They just don't have any minions.
The Violent's not doing badly in terms of farm. In fact, he's arguably ahead of his counterpart in the jungle, but it's not enough, because that Violent isn't winning the fights.
But look at this. This Omen has been left alone to farm up TJ, and he's allowed him to bring 3 members of Indonesia up toward the top side. Is Vietnam going to make a play in mid?
Indonesia seem to have no interest in chasing that in the top lane because they're worried about the mid lane. That's why this rotate's coming through, and it could be lethal.
Vietnam respect this, though, and they're going to go down the river, 45 seconds onto the Abyssal Dragon, so if Indonesia can find a player here, it sets them up beautifully to take the 4th one of the game. I'll give it for Vietnam because they have been able to secure these towers. They have kept the gold relatively close, even being down 6 kills and 3 Abyssal Dragons.
I love this split push from Bronze. He's been consistently maintaining lane pressure, and that's just going to force somebody from Indonesia to go up there and deal with it.
Well, in that mid lane, Ahmed gonna get knocked up. He hits about half his health, but should be able to be just fine, as you do see Bronze still sticking toward that top lane, trying to draw members away from these objectives. Spirit Sentinel about to respawn. Abyssal gonna be on the table in 5 seconds.
And really, Indonesia don't have the control that their lead should dictate they have. You can see Vietnam is not nearly as far behind in the gold as they frankly should be.
It's a little bit of a question here on the side of Indonesia. It's kind of looking like they're playing how we expected Vietnam to play, playing a little bit too safe. Maybe they changed my mind here, though, with the fight. Wira gets taken down pretty low himself, so he has to back off, even going for the recall in the bush. A little gutsy, is able to escape with his life, but Indonesia, where's this coordination? It's just feeling like it's slowly starting to fall apart.
Vietnam should know they just got an effective kill and try and punish it, because that recall coming through means they're a player down on the Indonesia side. It's like they lost a kill, therefore this pressure can come through across the map, including this mid and bot lane tower.
Well, you saw Bronze 5 was still up toward that top lane and brought multiple members from Indonesia up to try and deal with him, but there's still an Abyssal Dragon on the table. Vietnam have the positioning around this. Instead, are you still... Wow, okay, let's start up a Dark Slayer. They maybe want to try and bring in a fight around this river. Blake still sitting there, wants to go for it, but Vietnam, they just can't draw Indonesia in enough, and that's enough to tie up the gold.
Vietnam, frankly, again, should have had the vision of that to know it was impossible. Maybe it was a bait play, but they didn't accurately punish it either.
Still waiting here, as you can see, we're the shock caught out. The shock is going to come on down. The lasso is able to bring back Yamate. Thunderbird going to find its mark as they're able to pick up the kill. Who else is going to fall? Polo going to get resurrected, is able to flicker over the wall. Abyssal Dragon was aggroed by Vietnam to help them out in that scenario. Bronze 5, though, still up in the top lane.
And he's still pushing. He could very well get this tower if they're not quick enough on the rotate. They do have the recall back to base from Wira.
Look how much damage he does, though, to it. That's a decent amount for only 2 auto attacks. He's able to bring in 2 members of Indonesia. He's going for a 2v2. This Omen is on a rampage. Look at this. More members going up. This is allowing Vietnam to get away with these free backs.
Bronze, how? He just set up camp. He put down his Death's Embrace and he said, right, I'm going to stay here for a moment and take a 2v1. Is that okay with you? I'm under the tower, but I just live here.
His name might be Bronze, but he's looking better than the guys in my solo queue saying they're Diamond.
That was me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, no. But let's see. Spirit Sentinel going to be contested here by Vietnam. So they're able to push back Indonesia into their jungle. They've actually taken down these outer tier towers, and this has opened up the map amazingly for them because they can now look to pressure into the jungle.
You can see Blake using this Crixie Ultimate Moonfall just as a zoning tool, and this is how Vietnam have gotten back in the game. The fact that they somehow, despite being behind for the vast majority of it,
2,000 gold.
Yeah, they have so much more map control, and Indonesia is suffering due to their lack of map knowledge. Both these teams should have had more map control than they had at various points. This is going to be a Dark Slayer, and Indonesia don't know about it.
I'm loving this from Polo and Blake. They're acting as bait in the jungle. They want to try and distract Indonesia, and that is enough for them to pick up the Dark Slayer. On top of it, they take down the support. The Alice is gone.
I don't think the idea of bait is that it kills the fishes.
You'll see. Either way, Hans wants to go aggressive. Yamate is going to push him on back, but now Dark Slayer, TJ, what's the plan?
Well, they have the Slayer buff. They should get a high ground. I'd expect this top one to fall.
Let's see. Can Indonesia hold from this push?
My lord,
the damage! What the heck was that?
That was a Violet with the Slayer buff, especially a late-game Violet. We said you need to shut down the Violet, and
How
they
fast
never
those towers
did.
get shredded, TJ. This is now the siege coming in from Vietnam, and it's a Violet. She is able to outrange everybody on Indonesia, and Wira has to run on back, is able to get on over to the wall, but the minions are keeping up the pressure in top.
One more of these towers should fall. This is just an inevitability at this point. It's
Hans, he's going to risk his life. The shock comes on down, only finds Polo with the CC. Hissy Fit also going to be used for the zone. But look at this, Indonesia, they're slowly falling left and right. Multiple members getting taken on down in Vietnam. Now they can look to open up the door.
That's going to be mid lane down. I suspect top lane will fall as well. They might not even need it. They have the wave. This could be game.
Minions into the base. You can see the core is ticking on down in game one to Vietnam.
Excellently done by Vietnam to come back in a game they had such a strong deficit in.
You can see the team there feeling pretty good about how that game won. Maybe not too happy about how the early game transpired, because that is the highlight for me, is Indonesia, playing aggressively and forcing Vietnam to make plays.
Yeah, Indonesia was able to overcome what we said was their major problem, which was the lack of map control in the early game. They played very aggressive and they pushed Vietnam back, but I almost feel like the fact that they won the early game kind of undid them, because they felt so much like they were in the lead that they stopped pressing, they stopped changing the pace of play, and as a result fell behind when they got content with their lead.
And it all started off that Abyssal Dragon steal by Indonesia, and then they continued it up. They looked for plays, they were able to catch out members of Vietnam, but it kind of became the question of they grouped up, they played how we were expecting Vietnam to play when they fell behind. And I don't know how you're surviving. I don't know how Hans survives in top lane.
He does it multiple times this game. Very well played by Hans. He, of course, is known for playing crazy aggressive, and I do like that from Indonesia. The fact that they play that aggressive, and it should have continued. It was the mid-game where it stopped, where they started to play that defensive game where it all turned around. Vietnam slowly, steadily worked their way back in.
The rest of the team was to fall. Polo also on that teamie. We were talking about players, to watch out for. Polo on a teamie, that's a lot of play potential. But for me, the highlight was Bronze on the Omen. He was able to farm away. No one was able to deal with him.
Yeah, I really, really liked the fact that we saw Bronze continually push the top lane, because we highlighted Indonesia as the aggressive team, but it was in fact that one player, that one lane push from Vietnam that defined the match, I think.
Well, we're going to be heading into game 2 quite shortly, just getting word that we are going to have a side swap, so Indonesia going to be on blue side to start things off during this draft. What changes up for them this time around, DJ?
I don't know, because that last draft, like we said, they basically just wanted to play their own game. Both teams, it felt like, played to their strengths with little concern for what their opponents were doing. Now, I don't know if that changes because of the game 1 result. Maybe Indonesia feel, oh no, we just need to play the meta.
Well, maybe we see that Superman sneak on through. Maybe Vietnam decides, hey, that might be just a little bit too powerful. Because what's going through the mind of Vietnam? Because we even expected them to, be the favorites. They fell behind a little bit early. They were able to fight on back. But, that's kind of have to, maybe they're a little rusty. Maybe they're coming into this unwarmed up. I'm trying to figure this out.
Look at that man's face. That man is doing business as usual. He's like, oh, it's my turn to bat? Okay, I guess we'll draft. He's normal. This is a normal day at work. Yes, things were a bit rocky early on, but they sure turned that around.
It's like coming in onto work on a Monday, you're just not too prepared. Maybe need to get some stretches on in there and see how this is going to turn on out.
And we should be getting into the draft in a moment. When that happens, I look a lot to the bans. There was a lot of target banning happening game 1 from Vietnam. If they continue that, I suspect the result will remain the same. Indonesia, the pressure is on them to make something change.
And they have the options available to them. They're going to be first pick and also going to be their first ban coming on through here quite shortly. You know, if you look at the game from Vietnam, what did Indonesia have trouble with the most?
It just felt like they had trouble with themselves. It felt like in the middle of the game, when they had the complete control of the game, when they had the lead, that was when it all went wrong. When they were fighting to gain a lead, when they were fighting from behind, we still saw great plays. It was just when they were in control, when they had the game in the bag, that they started to overextend or underextend in various situations.
Well, there you can see it. Polo not going to have the teamy this time around. They said, all right, yeah, that was a mistake. We don't know how that one got through. It ain't happening again. Vietnam still respecting this flash pick.
Teamy looks so smug in that photo.
He's like, yeah, I know I was banned.
You know
I
you
know
had
it
to
was
ban me.
You got to deal with me. No one can. Indonesia, they are still sticking though with this second ban.
Yeah, I wonder if this is just a target that I wasn't aware of. Talking about shouldn't be an insta ban.
It's questionable. You're not expecting it when you come into this. Murad, though, for Vietnam, once again going to be banning that one away from Indonesia.
Murad is such a good character for Wira. I completely understand. You just don't want it. And any team who has to play them, even a favored team, should get rid of that Murad.
All right, Indonesia. What is going to be your plan here? Do you want to try and ban away another pick? Do you want to try and leave something open? We'll have to see, though.
I think they're going to ban. I think that's a safe bet.
Well, I think they're going to ban, too. I think they already did. All right, Aram going to be banned out.
Yeah. Solid tank, solid CC should be banned. What's getting through here that should have been banned is Superman. What's getting through here that should have been banned is both of the global mobility characters. You see the Zenial and Max again untouched, should be here. And I apologize that Superman was banned.
Yeah, very last second there. They decided to, bait you in there, TJ. And for Indonesia, they're going to go ahead and take away the Omen.
It's not a bad call. The Omen, of course, so important to Vietnam that last game. We saw it find big success, or to Indonesia rather, last game we saw it find big success. And Vietnam, if they have it on Bronze, who was such a good split pusher, I think that happens again.
But what does it leave open on this time? The Alice is still on the table. That'd be a great choice for Polo if he wants to make those plays, go to roam around, but instead opting in to lock in the mage right away with that tulip.
I don't know how to say this in a chill voice. Max and Zenial are still on the board!
Yeah, that could
What's the split line sport could we play?
Hey,
no clue.
Right. I know it hurts you, TJ. I know you're frustrated, but it isn't your choice. The Tulin going to get locked in for Indonesia. Ahmed has that Liliana available to him if he wants to take it.
Yeah, the Liliana was banned last game. It will be available here, as are various other mages. Praetor, for instance, wouldn't be a terrible choice, particularly if you're comboing with the Alice. They do have the capacity to pick that duo.
Yeah, picking up your side lane early from Vietnam, left open that Alice, and it looks like Indonesia, they said, oh yeah, they didn't pick this one up. This would be a nice tool for us to have. Hissy Fit, the ultimate, the AoE, and man, this, all right, coming in from Indonesia. Okay. This would be an interesting one.
On any other team, I would be, this is major, but I've seen Whereas Rourke, and it wasn't as good as Murad. So I think that won't make as much of a difference as it ought to. Rourke is a very powerful character right now, but from what I saw, Wira is definitely still kind of figuring him out, getting used to the character, and as a result, it wasn't the game-ending pick that it should have been, and frankly, Rourke will be banned or first picked quite a bit this comp.
Well, he's pretty powerful. The bug got fixed, so now it amps his own damage, his passive.
Yes, and I need to clarify, the bug also got fixed on the tournament server, so he doesn't two-shot towers. I should clarify that.
That would be a little broken. That'd be just a little broken.
He kind of does two-shot towers on the current live server.
Well, Vietnam going to be going ahead, locking in that Joker, so going to have a little bit of poke available for him.
I like it. You see the Joker run a ton on support in the Asian regions. Many Western players may be a bit surprised by that, but if you put Flicker on Joker and just set him to roam around the map, support various jungle takes, support various invades, it's very, very powerful.
I'm liking how Indonesia are finishing off this draft, though. You got a lot of power, a lot of comfort picks coming on through for them. The Liliana getting locked in. You also have that Wonder Woman. This is a pretty strong roster when you look at the comp.
Yeah, I actually really favor Indonesia in this draft. Vietnam have gone for a high mobility character pool. They have the Malik who can lead off the dive as a tank. I'd like to see them get one more tank like maybe a Zediel, as well as the Tulin who can dash in, Nakroth can dash in, Joker should be high mobility. All of those are good if you're moving fast, hitting hard, but I don't think that's the team that can do this because that's just not their playstyle.
Final one coming on through.
Oh, I'm so triggered.
Okay, so you're just not going to have that Zen or Max. I'm sorry, TJ. I know you're disappointed.
Yeah, Kilgroth is fine. I shouldn't be triggered. Kilgroth is fine. I expect him to run in the split lane. That Nakroth will go jungle. Malik probably doing likewise. Joker's roaming support, and the Blake will be in mid lane with his Tulin.
Well, you know, for Bronze 5, it's kind of similar to, you know, how the Omen is. You just look to farm up and then become a monster in the later part of the game.
Yeah, Kilgroth can do a ton of damage if he gets his build complete, particularly if he gets out ahead with something like the bow. He can very easily do a ton of very quick auto attacks, which feed into his abilities, all of which amplify the more he's hitting people. So he gets a ton of lifesteal and, crucially, can remain immune to CC for absurd periods of time.
And I want to see if Indonesia actually decides to try and punish Bronze 5, because he was kind of just left to his own in a majority of the game while you just kept on pushing.
Bronze 5 doesn't have as much mobility as he had to work with last game. On Omen, you can pump the Untouchable, his second ability, and he gets a speed boost and can zoom away. If you're on Kilgroth, you have the Sea Spear, that's a short-range dash, and nothing else.
Well, we're going to have to see. We're going to be loading on into Game 2 between Indonesia and Vietnam. Quick reminder, this is a rather important match for both these teams. This is likely going to be the tie-breaking decider on who makes it into the knockout stage.
Yeah. Either of these teams could make it in that second slot. We don't expect either of them to upset and make it in the first slot. So this is massive for them.
It's mandatory. You gotta find success here. You gotta win this series. Either way, let's go ahead and get into Game 2 of the series between Indonesia and Vietnam.
Vietnam, I want to see the aggression from them again. Indonesia only really struggled once they got in their own heads.
Let's see. This is going to be a really awkward play. A nice stun is going to be there for the disengage, and Indonesia can run away.
So I'm looking at the high mobility of the Vietnam composition. I want them to be constantly moving around the map, pressing in and pressuring all sides. And you could already see that's kind of what they're doing.
Well, you saw they're looking for the side of Vietnam. They wanted to try and pressure this Rourke early, and they actually don't get the successful invade off. This is something we usually don't see too often. Usually teams fully force the invade to try and steal away the golem.
Yeah, neither team fully committing to an invade, but perhaps after last game, both teams feel a little bit burned.
They're like, we don't know where everybody was. We kept losing each other. We couldn't see each other on the map, and that was a concern for us.
Vietnam, like we were saying many times, are a naturally more defensive team. I'm not surprised to see them not play aggressive. Indonesia, I'm worried because when they're at their best and most present in this match was when they were playing aggressive. Maybe not as hyper-aggressive as gets them in trouble, but I want to see them confident and pressuring.
I want to see if they can get the gold onto this Rourke. Meanwhile, though, toward the river, Caraway has to be a bit careful himself. Blake gets taken down extremely low.
God,
has to use the flicker to get over the wall. Vietnam, they're getting punished for this, for the aggression. That's going to be first blood onto the Rourke.
And this is the downside of playing a ton of very high mobility characters. You see Yamate over on that Malik is going to be the lowest mobility character, particularly in the early game when he doesn't have his shock up. Because everyone else is lightweight and moving fast, he just gets left behind.
Well, you see TF trying to defend this tower down in bot lane, and that's going to be the kill on top of it. So once again, Indonesia are able to find kills early, TJ.
And they're pressing hard for it. This is good. Stay confident, don't get over-aggressive. No double tower dives, please, but keep pressuring, keep finding smart picks in team fights.
Maybe apply more pressure down onto Yamate, open up this bot lane to try and get at that Abyssal Dragon. You saw them last game, they were able to get the steal, and then repeatedly pick it up on the respawn and get some gold and experience into their pockets up toward top. Hans has to be a bit careful, but meanwhile, though, on the other side of the map, around that Abyssal Dragon, Hans gonna get taken down underneath tower, but he traps Blake before he dies, so they'll trade 1-for-1. But look at this, Indonesia, they have the man advantage. They're gonna start up the Abyssal.
Yeah, they have the man advantage and crucially the map control advantage right now. Only Yamate is in range to potentially steal, and he'd have to hit a really lucky ult.
Well, let's go ahead and take another look back onto that first blood, TJ.
Yeah, this was a while ago now, but you can see what I was talking about. Yamate, it wasn't necessarily that he was mispositioned, it was that his team left, and he didn't yet have the capacity to join them.
Well, you saw him bot lane there. Yamate was forced to use his ultimate, likely trying to dissuade the tower dive coming in from Indonesia. So you can see Vietnam, they're starting to realize, all right, you guys are playing aggressive. Well, we're not going to let you get away with it. So not going to be able to find the kill easily there.
One of the things Vietnam does have is a ton of CC potential. If they can cycle through stuns and knockups, they can pick up these kills lightning fast.
Oh no, Y-Force gonna get taken on down as TF will find the kill. And like that, Vietnam, they're able to find it, but they don't pick off anything else. The Abyssal isn't up, and they got no minions to try and take down that tower.
And they can't get that jungle
Oh
camp.
no.
Ahmed says, hello.
That's mine. What are you doing in the jungle, guys? Come on, bud.
So I would have liked to see them move more with this. Like, yeah, yes, got the pink bot lane, credit to you, but you cannot just stay there and hope that there's nobody defending it when the next minion wave comes through, because there's going to be somebody defending it. So as a result, they didn't even manage to steal a minor jungle camp. If they had gotten it, I don't think it would have been worth it.
Well, you mentioned that, and Polo just steals away one with his rocket from the mid lane. So, you know, they're just trading the camps. They're like, hey, you can take some, I'll take some.
Spirit Sentinel did get taken during this time. Vietnam do manage to get that, and that's nice to see. With this high mobility composition, they're going to constantly be able to maintain pressure across all sides of the map, stay very split. And that means that they can get a Spirit Sentinel while also pressuring bot lane.
All right, 3 members down here for
Poor
Vietnam.
Y-Force.
How does Indonesia try and respond to this? Because Y-Force is going to get taken down. He tries to take Polo with him. Minion's about to crash into the tower. Let's look up toward the top side. Blake, with just a sliver of health, is able to escape.
They do this. This is how they respond. When you see 3 people bot lane, you know you can push top, because they will win even fights provided they have a wide variety of characters. It's literally only lightweight DPS high mobility characters opposing them. If they can bring some supports to bear, some high damage, evade the CC and follow up, they're going to win every single fight on the Indonesia side.
But my concern, TJ, is Vietnam, they had 3 to 4 members toward the bot side of the map. The Abyssal Dragon was theirs for the take, and now they're starting it finally. But Indonesia, they might be able to contest this. The Abyssal, though, gets burned down, but at what cost? You could see on the side there, Blake was taken down by the Rourke. Meanwhile, up toward top lane, sure, you got the kill cross trying to cut the wave, but they're not going to get anything else.
It's the power of Rourke. If you let him take a sustained fight with you, just sit there and pound in damage, he's going to do exactly that, and it's painful.
Well, the Kilgroth roaming on over as we take it back over to mid lane. Bronze 5 looking to finally join in on some of these team fights. No one's there to follow up with him, and he's got no more CC.
Pressure, though, from Y-Force. He was not satisfied with his earlier engagements. He wants to get more aggressive, and I fear the result will be the same.
Oh, he's able to run. No one else from Vietnam coming on over. Uses the lasso to go in onto the jungle camp. Wants to go toe-to-toe. He isn't going to get punished, so that's fine. But look at Hans's damage onto Bronze 5. They're just looking to dive underneath. The Kilgroth, though, is able to get away.
You know why his name's pronounced Y-Force? Why would you force that?
I don't know why you would force that fight, TJ. I don't know. It's a question within itself. It's the only question you can ask.
Spirit Sentinel will be picked up here by the Rourke, but at the same time, there's cross-map pressure. This is what I was talking about with the large movement speed.
Y-Force still defending this tower, though. It's got a sliver of health. He's able to stay his ground and actually pick up the kill onto Yamate. That's a mistake you can't be making.
TF doing a good job pressuring forward, but Blake's in trouble in the mid lane.
Blake. Caught underneath the tower, nowhere to run, and that's going to open up the midsection of the map as Indonesia pick up the first tower.
And this was possible because of the pressure in the top lane. They consistently forced defense to come through in the top lane from that Vietnam side, and they didn't, as a result, have people who could get to mid and take the fight.
Oh, let's take a look back on to the replay in mid lane as they went for that dive, and Blake
Watch
falling.
the minimap. You see right now that Alice and the Rourke are pressuring the top lane, and as a result, the Kilgroth playing there does not have the movement to get down and be the needed tank with the Malik in the mid lane.
Now you've taken the 2 outer towers up toward the top side of the map at the cost of your bottom tower. Y-Force still hanging on. He wanted to protect that tower until his dying breath, and Vietnam will fulfill that promise.
Lots of dying breaths happening.
Yeah. He's not been having a great time down there. 2, 3, and 1. He's been pressured a lot, and that's what we were kind of expecting. You know, they're not really pressuring Bronze 5 like we saw in Game 1, and that costed them another tower.
It should be noted, though, this Wonder Woman is doing remarkably well given his current situation.
Polo, he's stuck, but they're able to burn down that Omen. Look at this, Vietnam. They have the minion wave on top of this. They also have the pressure in the top side of the map. Still, though, the Wonder Woman is able to get back underneath the tower and actually pick up the kill onto Polo. Bronze 5 maybe overstayed his welcome. In Indonesia, they're going to be given 2 free kills, but at what cost? Can Vietnam answer back?
Some mid lane pressure during this time. Blake might be able to take it down. I'd really just like him to back off, though.
You see, they're able to rotate on over, so still with 2 members falling. Vietnam, they're not able to pick up that mid lane tower, but up toward the top side, the pressure is everywhere.
Hypothetically, Indonesia has a better late game composition. If they can last that long, they should be able to bring to bear the fact that they have that Alice combo with the Liliana, they have the Wonder Woman, they have the Rourke, and really look great. I just don't know if they can last that long with the current pace of Vietnamese play.
And one for me, TJ, is we talk about Polo. This time around, he's on the Joker. He's mainly there for poke, for the assassination. He doesn't have the CC. He doesn't have the pick potential we usually see with the other picks he's often playing.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how I feel about that, but it is working. And it is, in fact, working very, very well, as Polo has been a part of 3 of his team's kills so far. That's half of them.
So, able to, but they lose out on that pressure, lose the Abyssal Dragon. In Indonesia, they pick themselves up a 1,000 gold lead and looking to pressure up toward the top side, really trying to play around this Darkslayer.
I talked about the pace of Vietnamese play earlier. It's slowed right down. This is what we talked about, maybe a little bit too defensive at times. Bronze looks to disagree.
Yeah, he's the only one that's really exerting the pressure in one of these lanes. In Indonesia, they're going to try and come on down.
Run.
Stun.
Slither.
Not going to land. He escapes. Vietnam, they now have an open lane in mid. Can they take down this tower?
So he pops his ultimate Gore Lord specifically to avoid the CC. Here's problems in mid, though.
TF, he's caught out to the side, and Ahmed is going to go ultimate 3-0-1 on the Liliana. One of our players to watch and is performing beautifully in this game, too.
The Kilgroth ultimate Gore Lord actually gives himself CC immunity, meaning he cannot be stunned while it's active. That allows him to get away. I don't know if it's worth it, though, because that's a Darkslayer being taken.
Life Force going down extremely low.
The
knock-up comes on through. Indonesia will be able to secure the Darkslayer, but they lose a high ground tower.
That's not worth it, I don't think.
But can they collapse? Can they pick off multiple members, or will Caraway be the one to fall? Bronze doesn't even care about the fight. He's just shredding towers left and right.
Why does he get that tower? He's staying in this fight.
He's gonna fall, though, unfortunately. TJ Polo will fall alongside with him, but that is a lot of objectives being taken off the map by Vietnam.
That is absolutely not worth it. They're not going to get anything with this Slayer buff, maybe 1 or 2 towers at most, because they had to spend the entire time with that first bit of the Slayer buff playing defense, playing catch-up as Vietnam tore through their towers.
You can see, though, they are forcing this. They say this mid lane tower is ours. It's going to fall. They're able to pick up the 3rd one of the game. Meanwhile, in bot lane, there's also the tower being taken by Ahmed. Look at this, though. Vietnam, they want to try and force a fight in the mid lane. Caraway a little bit low himself, but he has the safety of his teammates around him. But
Blake
they kind of let him to go to the pasture as Yamate look to chase
Blake.
him. They're able to. Blake, how the heck is Blake still alive during all this?
The entire team chased him, and he just ran away. And then Vietnam went, oh, okay, we can just defend. Is that all right?
It's enough to work, but meanwhile, 3 towers in the last minute were taken by Indonesia. That gives them so much pressure back toward the map, but they can't get caught out because look at the damage coming on down, but Polo will get eviscerated by the Liliana.
I don't think it's that bad because you can see the Slayer buffs just ended and nothing major was gained with it.
Yamate tries to jump on in himself. He will fall in Vietnam. They're just throwing bodies at Indonesia. They're able to pick up these kills. They can't keep giving these away. TF is trapped up toward the top lane. Hans wants to try and go for the kill, but he can't finish him off.
Vietnam may be properly in trouble now because Indonesia have managed to completely equalize the lead. They're about to get another kill onto Bronze.
Oh, Bronze, he tried to finish off the kill, but he will fall. In Indonesia, this is exactly what they need. They need to win this game 2 to force the game 3 and likely keep their knockout stage alive.
That's a lead to Indonesia, arguably, and they're going for the game.
Gonna use the bracelets to go for the disengage. Cannot find the kill, but look at Polo. The damage coming out from this Liliana. Second high ground tower is gonna fall in top lane.
This is what I was talking about with the late game composition. The capacity to do a little bit of extra damage in the late game as well as have all of that HP on characters like that Wonder Woman is making all the difference, as when we get to the late game, the lightweight Vietnam composition just simply cannot take straight up fights.
Back and forth, TJ. A way to start out Group B. They're very close to finishing off that topside tower. They actually were not able to complete it. It just takes one wave to come on through. Let's take another look at some of the action.
Yeah, this is the mid lane taken out first. You can actually see Polo here. He's about to get wrecked. And this is just an example, if you're wondering, what does having low HP against a team that can do infinite damage do to you?
Ooh.
That. Hello, Liliana.
Hello, how you doing? He gets chunked out there, and that's not the position Polo needs to be, because you know what? He's there for poke. He's not there for the sustained damage, and if he gets taken on down, he has to get all the way back to his base. Meanwhile, Abyssal Dragon was taken once again by Indonesia, taking that one off the map. But the question now becomes, it seems like we're slowing down, TJ. Is it just going to be another waiting game for a Darkslayer?
No, I don't think so at all. Indonesia are an aggressive team, and they're going to keep pushing.
Yamate able to get out of there with the shock, but he won't have that available if a fight were to break out within a couple moments. But it looks like Indonesia not going to play aggressive.
They're going to keep pushing, though. They may not play fully aggressive, but they're going to keep these minion waves going. Vietnam needs to do what Bronze 5 is doing. Have the pressure, have the wave clear so that you can choose where you can defend, where you might defend, because it sure as hell isn't that top lane tower.
High ground falls. That's two of them off the board. There's only one tower remaining in the base, and then the core is exposed. This is not the situation you want to be in on the side of Vietnam. Damage coming on through, also on toward the side here. Ahmed, we talked about this player sitting 5-0-3, putting on a stellar performance. The rest of the team on top of that too. The Rourke is 5-0-5. This is a very scary situation to be in. The Hissy Fit comes on down, zones away the team from the rest. The shock gonna come on back. This is gonna be the final fight for Vietnam if they're able to keep their hopes alive. They're able to take down the Omen. Yamate just jumps on in, and Indonesia can just bring this one all the way back into the base as they take down two members. Bronze 5 falls.
That was a mad overextension from Vietnam, but they still survived the fight,
Ahmed,
and that might be enough.
He gets executed on down by TF, and now Vietnam looking to run it on back. 3 members fall of Indonesia, and we're still in game 2 at 15.5 minutes.
That might have just been enough. All Vietnam needed was a reprieve, and the Darkslayer up is up in a minute. There will be about 30 seconds on the respawns. That means they're going to be still getting to this map.
DJ, look at the top lane. The minion wave is starting to form. Yamate is sure going to try and soak up that wave.
Take a bit.
Take a little bit. Unfortunately, though, no one's going to go for it.
I haven't noticed yet. I think maybe that's
there. Okay, Yamate's finally back up. He's like, all right. And Bronze 5 is back. So they got a little bit worried. I was like, are we going to see a backdoor for game 2? This is not what I wanted to see. Abyssal Dragon going to be taken once again here as Vietnam will secure it.
And that, I think, is highlighting the problem, basically, for Vietnam. Yes, you still have control, but unfortunately, you're down to just one tower. That means there's constantly going to be pressure in your base, and there is nothing you can do about it except manage it as best you can.
And that was another thing we talked about during the drafts, is that map awareness.
Yeah.
Is it often costs them so much. It usually is the reason they lose out during these games. Let's take a look, though, toward that bot lane as Y-Force going to go toe-to-toe with Bronze 5. Bronze 5 doesn't even want to deal with this Wonder Woman. You can see he's running all over the place on the mini-map, while the rest of the team is looking to position around the Darkslayer.
Poking around the Darkslayer, that means that bot lane fight should decide quite a bit more than the fight in and of itself. How Vietnam takes this Darkslayer fight will decide their fate.
You can see multiple members of Indonesia still staying up, but look toward the bot side of the map. Bronze 5 and Polo are going to go for Y-Force. If they're able to take down this Wonder Woman, that might be enough. 3 members down here. Can Indonesia find anything?
That is a major pick to find. Indonesia could properly respond by just committing to the top lane because they saw 3 in bot, but instead they're recalling and they're scattering, and that is not going
he can't
well.
Go on down, and Polo will find the kill. Not what you want. Multiple members falling left and right. They are falling to pieces, TJ.
That is not what you want to do. When you're pressure at the bottom side of the map, you should not then split up, scatter, and get picked off one by one.
And TF, he's going for the 2v1 underneath the towers down toward the core. Polo trying to kite on back, but look toward the top lane. That's going to be game. Vietnam, if they can finish off the core, that's all it will take, and likely lock themselves into the knockout stage, depending on the results.
That is devastating for Indonesia. I cannot imagine how that happened. They should have had that second game, and I think you can see they know it.
Well, Vietnam, they're like, did we somehow win that? How did we get that? We should not have won that game too.
I don't know. And I think they don't either, because so much of it, I don't even think Indonesia made any terribly bad misplays apart from around the Dark Slayer in that final few moments. And the team play has been a bit weak on both these teams. That's why they came into the second and third seed in this group. And I would say it affected both of them equally for the vast majority of the game.
Well, players gonna go ahead, shake hands. They're still feeling good. You see smiles all over the place. They're like, guys, I think we're supposed to come on over to you. They're just a little confused, but
too much good sportsmanship.
They're all trying to be too nice.
You know, I think that's a good problem to have.
Hey, that's
you're the
what you want to
Canadian,
see.
so I suppose you're an expert on it.
Oh no. Well, as for my expert Canadian outlook here, you know, everyone's being a good sport, and what more can you ask for? Well, let's take a look at game 2 and how it transpired.
This is going to be a long highlight reel, because that was a long game, and so much of it felt like was so easy for Indonesia. They had everything they needed, but every time I kept looking up, Vietnam still somehow were not just in it, but pressuring in odd places. We labeled them as the more defensive team right off the bat, but it was their aggression that won them this game. Bronze 5 constantly getting free towers in absurd places. That mid lane tower we just saw, he should never have gotten.
Hey. But for Indonesia, there is still hope. They need to win their series against Chinese Taipei, and
yes,
that's a mountain.
Tall order.
That's a tall mountain to climb, and even then, you gotta hope that they somehow also fall to Vietnam to avoid the tiebreaker scenarios. So, overall, there's still hope, but for Vietnam, you gotta be feeling pretty good. Right now, you're looking at this and you're like, "Okay, guys, we're pretty close to the knockout stage now."
For Vietnam, provided there isn't a major upset, that win solidifies them at the very least to progress to the quarterfinals.
And you gotta be feeling pretty good. So taking a look back there for you, TJ, overall in the series, you know, who was the highlight for you on the side of Vietnam?
Bronze.
I can't, yeah.
I don't know if he got in-game MVP, but he gets my MVP, because every single tower that they took, it felt like Bronze affected. Be it just because he was actually literally taking the tower, or because he was pressuring elsewhere on the map and securing an opportunity for the tower to be taken elsewhere.
Well, we're going to go ahead and send it on over to an interview with Yamate. Matt, take it away.
Thanks, Opal. Thanks, TJ. Yamate. Another win over Indonesia for the Vietnamese team, but a bit more of a challenge than you had at the boot camp. That second map, you nearly lost that one as well. How do you feel after that performance?
So mostly like my team falling in the bad case because it's my fault. Further on, I have to accept that this is my fault. Okay. And also but right now today my team did very well, because they do fight teamwork, and even when myself make the many mistakes, they also cover it for me. So today is after all it's my fault, okay. But still good, yeah.
It's very honest of you to say it's all your fault. Do you mean as a player you felt you didn't deliver, or as a captain?
Actually, in my team, even I am the captain, but everyone is equal. Okay. Yeah, something like that. So, yeah. Anyway, I just want to thank to my team, because today they covered all my fault, and even like that, after all, we win. Yeah.
Good win. And like a win at this stage is what you need, right? It's group stages. 2 wins is going to get you through. You want to progress on to the quarterfinals and show what Vietnam have got all the way to the finish?
If I pass the group stage, I also have more time to practice with my team. So I can promise that my team will make the better performance. In the final stage, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll look forward to seeing Vietnam be even better than that. Congratulations, though. A win is a win. It's not a very big group stage. You need to get these things done.